Announcements done. Papers have been laid. Question.
Mr. Speaker, sir, my question is addressed to the Honourable Prime Minister. Whether he will, for the benefit of the House, obtain from the Commissioner of Police information as to the persons prosecuted and convicted, if any, with regard to drug seizures of street value greater than 1 billion rupees since year 2017 to date, including the seizure of A, heroin in 6 cylinders of 1.8 billion rupees street value in March 2017, B, 100 kilos of heroin on a speedboat of 1.5 billion rupees street value in October 2018, C, 95 kilos of cocaine in a tractopelle of 1.4 billion rupees street value in July 2019, and D, 243 kilos of heroin and 26 kilos of hashish in Pointe-aux-Canonniers of rupees 3.6 billion street value in May 2021.
Mr. Speaker, sir, let me first refer the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to my comprehensive reply to PQ B624 at our sitting of 17th of May 2022 in regard to arrests and seizures of drugs carried out since January 2015 to 12th of May of this year. And I gave a list thereof and indicated the number of financial audit trails carried out in each case and the outcome thereof. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is pertinent to remind the House that for the period 2017 to May 2022, 17,556 drug cases have been detected and 15,571 persons arrested. The street value of the drugs seized is estimated around 13.7 billion rupees. That proves, Mr. Speaker, sir, the sustained and successful crusade that we have been leading against drugs. In regard to part A of the question, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that after receiving credible information to the effect that dangerous drugs were imported in a container on board vessel MSC Ivana, sailing from South Africa, the Anti-Drug and Smuggling Unit and the Mauritius Revenue Authority personnel searched the vessel on 9th of March 2017. As a result of this search exercise, 118 packets of drugs suspected to be heroin, weighing 135 kilos, worth 2 billion and 25 million rupees were secured from 6 sand-blasting metal cylinders in which they were concealed. The exhibits were brought to ADSU headquarters for photographic exercise by the scene of crime officers and subsequently sent to the Forensic Science Laboratory for analysis. 8 suspects have been arrested during the course of the inquiry. So far, 2 of them have been prosecuted and convicted to undergo 3 years imprisonment by the Intermediate Court for money laundering, respectively, on 29th November 2018 and 17th of January 2020. 5 of them are provisionally charged with the offense of drug dealing with aggravating circumstances. I am also informed that 1 suspect is so far untraceable. Given that the investigation is complex and has international ramifications, inquiry into the case is proceeding. I wish to inform the House that mutual legal assistance was sought from South African and United Kingdom authorities since 2017 and 2018 respectively. Reports have been obtained from South Africa in August 2021 and from the United Kingdom in February 2022. Further reports are being sought from the Office of the Interpol of South Africa. As at now, the inquiry has reached an advanced stage and is expected to be completed shortly. Mr. Speaker, sir, in regard to part B of the question, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that on 30th of October 2018, 3 individuals were arrested 1 nautical mile away from Gunners Coin Island on a speedboat. 5 raffia bags, each containing 20 parcels of heroin of a total weight of 100 kilos were seized. During the course of the inquiry, 8 other persons were also arrested in connection with the case. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am further informed by the Commissioner of Police that, amongst others, the following documents are being awaited to expedite progress of the inquiry. Additional documents from commercial banks and money changers following a judge's order, additional itemized bills from telephone operators following judge's order, and report from Interpol in respect of foreign telephone numbers. In this case also, it is expected that the inquiry will be completed by the end of this year. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to part C of the question, I wish to refer the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to PQs B317 and B327 of our sitting of 19th April 2022. The House was informed that, following a request made on Wednesday, 10th of July 2019, about 16:20 hours by the service manager of Scomat Limited, situated at Greywalls Lane, Pai, a team from the Anti-Drug and Smuggling Unit proceeded there. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that the ADSU officers were informed by the manager of the company that on the same day, at around 15:30 hours, whilst 2 employees were inspecting the engine of a wheel loader imported by the company from Brazil, they found 3 black kit bags which were concealed in the engine compartment near the exhaust muffler of the said vehicle. The bags were handed over for safekeeping to the store supervisor, who, whilst checking the 3 bags, came across several rectangular parcels, each containing suspicious substances. The 3 bags were handed over to ADSU officers, who opened them in the presence of the employees present at the moment, and the contents thereof were suspected to be dangerous drugs. An inquiry into the matter was immediately initiated by the ADSU, and the exhibits were secured and sent to the Forensic Science Laboratory for analysis. In the course of the inquiry, the drugs secured from the 3 bags were identified as cocaine. The total weight of the drugs seized is 85.1668 kilos of a street value amounting to 1.4 billion rupees. And to date, statements from 18 persons including employees of Scomat Limited, have been recorded by ATSU officers. So far, no evidence has been obtained that could lead to the arrest of any person and that could also reorientate the investigation. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am further informed by the Commissioner of Police that police inquiry was also to determine the itinerary of the wheel loader from the port of embarkation to its destination. According to intelligence from the Interpol, the vehicle was embarked in Brazil for Mauritius. The wheel loader was offloaded in Morocco and re-embarked for shipment to Mauritius. No information of evidential nature which could help in the progress of the investigation was obtained. I am also informed that ATSU liaised with the Brazilian and Moroccan authorities for further intelligence that would provide a lead in the inquiry. In view of the complexity of the investigation of this case, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that an interim report has been sent to the Director of Public Prosecutions for advice. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to Part D of the question, I refer the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to the reply I made to Parliamentary Question B 384 at the sitting of Tuesday, 18th of May 2021. Following the seizure of 26 kilograms of cannabis resin and 243.45 kilograms of heroin of an approximate total value, street value, of 3.4 billion rupees, the anti-drug and smuggling unit started an inquiry with a view to identifying and apprehending all those persons suspected to be involved in this drug trafficking case. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that, as at date, 8 persons have been arrested in connection thereto, 6 of whom have been remanded to jail and 2 are detained in police cell. I am also informed by the Commissioner of Police that in the course of the investigation, 75 persons have been interviewed. Despite the complex nature of this case and its international ramifications, police is expected to complete the inquiry by end of this year. Mr. Speaker, sir, since 2014, we have launched a crusade against drug trafficking and the drug mafia. Consistently and with unparalleled determination, we are dismantling the drug networks. The exceptional results in terms of arrests and drug seizures I have mentioned earlier are testimony to the colossal work ongoing to clean our country from the drug scourge. We will not stop that crusade until we unearth the drug peddlers from whatever den they are operating their deaf business. They will be brought to justice and put behind bars, which is the only place where they deserve to be. I reaffirm once again my personal unflinching commitment and that of my government to do whatever it takes to protect our society, our youth in particular, from the devastating effects of illicit drugs. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, given the much greater amount of drugs present in the country and the number of users, it is not surprising that the seizures now are much more than previously. I'd like to ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether he doesn't think it extremely worrying. I have taken the 4 biggest by far drug seizures for the last 5 years. None of these inquiries for drug dealing are complete and none have been prosecuted. But I've gone further, Mr. Speaker. I've looked at 120 cases of major drug seizures since 2017 to 2020, and the House would be happy to know, would be sad to know, Mr. Speaker, that only 3 cases of these 120 major cases have been tried and some judgment still awaited. So my question to the Prime Minister is, what is wrong? Seizure is one thing, but surely we need to identify the perpetrators, prosecute them, and convict them and put them behind bars.
Mr. Speaker, sir, first of all, the fact that there have been those very important seizures of really that amount of drug worth billions of rupees is itself testimony of the determination of, first of all, the police and the government to deal and to dismantle the drug traffickers' network. Now, the leader of the opposition is saying that he has carried out an exercise, and he mentioned some figures which I need to check because I don't have all the figures with me. But I have also done an exercise, expecting that you would make such a comment. I have a list here, Mr. Speaker, sir, of the number of cases from, let's say, I started from 2000 to date, nearly. And I can mention dozens and dozens of cases. If I start from the time when the Honorable Leader of the Opposition himself was part of a government, Labour PMSD government, since 2005. And I have the list where no person has been even prosecuted and convicted before a court. I am not going to take the time of the House, but I can ulteriorly, of course, give a list of those cases. There are dozens and dozens of cases. Now, I am not saying, I hope it is not what you would wish to say also, I'm not saying that there are cases where, as I have mentioned, where we have been, I mean, not we, the police has been able to arrest people. In one case I mentioned, 2 persons have already been convicted. The others, the inquiry is ongoing because police must be able to gather maximum evidence and evidence that is likely to convince a court of law to be able to convict those people. Now, it does happen, yes, it does happen, and in some cases, the police has not been able to get even a suspect. The case I mentioned is the 95 kilos of cocaine in a tractopelle. Unfortunately, so far, I haven't been able to arrest and to even have a suspect. So, but we must look at the whole picture, and I hope that the leader of the opposition will acknowledge the fact that since for quite some time, at least I can say, because I have the list where we have been in government, that there have been a number of major seizure of drugs.
Mr. Speaker, my point tonight is to not go tit for tat with the Prime Minister. I have also gone to the 2005 and beyond. I know Siddiq Islam, Viren Pirumal, all these were put behind bars during that particular Labour PMSD regime, Mr. Speaker. What I'm saying to the Prime Minister is this. There is no doubt that it cannot be right for 5 years an inquiry to go on. Witnesses will forget, witnesses will disappear. It is not right for it to do so. And the Drugs Commission, Lam Shamling Commission, recommended the setting up, the doing away with ADSU, and the setting up of the National Drugs Investigation Commission, so that the investigation, not just a seizure is one thing, but the investigation and the prosecution and the conviction of these people can be expedited and done professionally and expeditiously. So the best that the Prime Minister can say is not got any better. I would like it to get much better than whatever it was before.
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, we as a government always has to see to it that we improve the way that the police operate, the way that they carry out the investigation, the way that evidence is collected to be brought before a court of justice. I can say that from the remarks of the Commission of Inquiry on Drug Trafficking, there were also, of course, apart from the recommendation that has been made, the Commission had also commended mainly the two units for having played their part either alone or jointly in ensuring that many drug traffickers and dealers have been successfully prosecuted. They were referring to ADSU and the customs of the Mauritius Revenue Authority. But yes, I am aware that the Commission of Inquiry has recommended that we have another institution, another unit, another body, call it, in place to replace ADSU and customs. We have looked at it very carefully, and we are not yet convinced that this should be implemented. In fact, the reasons that have been put forward by the Commission is that the unit of the police is seriously under-equipped, whether in terms of manpower, expertise and skills, technology and equipment. And this is why from that time, in fact, we have given increased budget, especially not only to the police, but to ADSU. And in terms of equipment, I have it, and I will not take time of the House to say how much money additionally that have been spent to acquire new equipment. The personnel, I know the personnel of ADSU has been increased quite a lot. And in terms of also expertise and skills, there are training programs that are made available to them. So we are addressing, and we will continue to address the reasons that have been put forward by the Commission in order to justify the reason for setting up another unit. Now, I will say this, not to be too long, that we have to be careful. You know, Mr. Speaker, sir, the customs, they are doing a particular, I must say that the work of the customs is very specialized. Also, of course, in detecting illicit drugs. But it is going to be difficult when we look at what obtains in other countries. Other countries also, they have within the customs a specialized unit to deal with narcotics. And that is why we in government, as of now, we are not yet convinced that there should be a merger of those two units into one separate body. And then we should not forget also that ADSU does not operate on its own. ADSU operates within the framework of the police. And in quite a number of cases we have seen, especially recently when we see those mafias, when they themselves start to use force, violence against the police. ADSU then mobilized the other units of the police, namely the SMF, for example, to assist them in undertaking their mission.
Given the length of the reply, I don't mind, but I hope you will give me some time, additional time, to be fair also to the opposition. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure still complaining about the equipment, I must tell you. I'll talk now about delays, third parties dealing with axée. I looked at the list again, and in that list, Mr. Speaker, you'll be surprised to see that there are 22 cases which have been referred to the Forensic Science Laboratory for the last 3 years, over the last 3 years. The last one dating 2019. And these exhibits have still not been examined by the Forensic Science Laboratory. And I understand there are proposals by the FSL to be able, legislative proposals in particular, to be able to speed up things, and government is dragging its feet on this.
Well, I would have expected the Honourable Leader of the Opposition at least to have included in his question one paragraph concerning these cases which you are mentioning now that has been referred to the FSL. Yes, I welcome another PNQ specific on this. Like I have answered, getting all the information from the police, I would have got the information from the FSL. I'm not in a position, of course, to give any information. But again, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, you are saying that, well, it's taking time and so on. If I take only one example, there was a case which was reported on the 11th of February 2005 with regard to seizure of 1,295.7 grams of heroin that was concealed in 14 bar cells and so on and so forth. You know that inquiry from 2005, since you were in government, is still pending inquiry. It is still pending inquiry. 2005, okay. Well, why is it that from 2005 to 2014, this was not able to be resolved? At least people could have been arrested and prosecuted. So, and I tell you, I have a list of cases. I say dozens and dozens of cases like that. So when you say it's not tit for tat, but this is what you're doing. You are telling me, why is it that those cases have not been able to be resolved? And when you were yourself in the Labour PMSD government, there are so many cases which have not been resolved. I acknowledge that there are cases which have not yet been resolved. I am not denying that fact. But there are quite a number of cases, and especially very, very serious, important cases and major seizures which have been undertaken and which are underway.
I fail to see what bringing 2005 into this PNQ helps to elucidate the question. The question was, there are long delays in forensic laboratory. He is aware of 2005, but the Prime Minister is aware that there are such delays under his mandate. I'm telling him this now. The same thing happens with judges' order. There are lots of delays in judges' orders being issued. This must be addressed by the government with the judiciary. And the third delay that the actual officers, if you care to speak to them, Mr. Prime Minister, they'll tell you that the itemized bills that come from the telecom companies often takes months and years. These are free issues. Forget 2005. These are free live issues which are being put to you, and we are asking you, as an opposition, to have a look at it so that we come to a better situation than 3 cases out of 120 prosecuted over these years, Mr. Speaker.
Again, one of the specific issues that the Honourable Leader of the Opposition has mentioned is the itemized bill of the service providers. Now, again, I am not aware. Of course, I need to gather information, but this is what I was told. Now, you are saying that it takes a long time to get the judge's order. I don't know whether it is a criticism against the court, but I will find out why is it that, if ever, it is taking too long a time? Why is it, and who is responsible for that?
To be able to find out things as they are today and to forget about 2005. That is another issue. Now I'm going to ask you, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to ask you, not you, I'm going to ask the Honorable Prime Minister about Mr. Krishna. Is he now a star witness? That was in the main question, so you will have the answer. Is he now a star witness, and for what reason is he now no longer being persecuted, but now is a witness? Is that the case? Part A of the question.
Yes, you have asked me, but I have not asked for the names. Look, the question is about information as to the persons prosecuted. Now, what is Krishna? No, because I have not asked for the names of those people who are involved in those cases. If you ask me, Krishna is still a suspect, not a witness. This is what he is still a suspect, not a witness.
It's not my information, but okay. Let's see what is right or what is wrong. I'm going to ask you now about this tractor pair that was imported. Has the customs changed their procedures in any way now, improved their procedures, so that we hope that such imports of drugs are not allowed to go through, because it was not something that was seized by the police. It was something that was remitted to the police by the mechanics, etc., of Sokomat. Have they improved their procedures since that time? Are you satisfied with that?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, again, in the light especially of such kind of a case, the ADSU, the authorities, have to review the way in which they proceed in order to detect illicit drugs. And of course, I admit that in this case, this is the facts of the case, that it was only the personnel of this company who had got into contact with the ADSU, and I have given the information. And then they were able to then seize this drug. So the Honorable Leader of the Opposition says, forget the past, as if let's judge the government only on what is happening today. But we have to look at the past also. And will he not acknowledge that in the past, I have cases where the authorities were not able to detect the drug. It was only when somebody had reported a matter to the police that they were able then to seize the drug. So there are cases, and I do not deny that. But the point is, of course we have to see to it that we improve our, improve the net that we have, so that no drug is able to pass through that net.
Last question.
Last question. It's a difficult one. Okay. Mr. Speaker, in terms of equipment for ADSU, which you have raised just now. Now, the ADSU say that the MRA customs are far better equipped than them. That the MRA has on-site equipment to test a drug, whether it is a drug or not a drug. That they have all sorts of high-tech equipment to be able to do their work, whereas ADSU is a bit of the parent pauvre. They don't have the proper cameras. Even that was raised by Lam Shamling report, Mr. Speaker. So I'm going to ask the Prime Minister, what is he going to do? He says he's giving more money, but my information, which is live, is that the ADSU are very unsatisfied, ADSU officers, with the equipment, the treatment that they get also, obviously, in terms of promotion, etc., but mostly the equipment that is at their disposal to do their work.
Well, if I can remember, not correct to say, I hope I'm not mistaken, not correct to say that the Lam Shamling report is saying that they get more money than the ADSU. What you? No, yes, that they say. But they say also, the Lam Shamling report says that a budget is allocated to the narcotics division of customs and a budget to ADSU. And this is why he recommended that the two units be merged into one body. But it is not correct to say that ADSU is not getting the necessary resources. We have, as I said, I had the details of how much resources was being allocated to ADSU. And again, I say, if we compare, you say, I'm sure you will say, forget about the past. If we'll compare the past, what is the budget that was allocated to ADSU compared to, well, rupees worthless. Look at the resources. We are giving, we are putting, we are not only talking, Mr. Speaker, sir. We also act, and I will provide the information later on, how much more resources has been allocated to ADSU. Yeah, we have, since 2018, 78 million rupees worth of equipment only. But in terms of personnel, well, peanuts, but even the peanut you were not giving. Huh? So if you describe it as peanut, well, people will see. People will be able to judge. But I can say in terms of personnel, in terms of equipment, in terms of training also. But again, Mr. Speaker, sir, I am not saying that we are just satisfied and content with what we are giving to ADSU. We need, obviously, to give more. So since 2014, there were 350 officers. 2022, there are 456 officers. But if there is need, and if we are able to provide them with more officers, with better equipment, of course, we need to do so.
Honorable Juman, time is over by 5 minutes. Don't rush.
Can I?